Fountain Grove is closed. Heading through Coffey Park. The guard there for National Guard let me through. Checkpoint Charlie. I flashed my badge, so take a look and see what's around here. This is a vicinity where some friends of the family had lived back in the 70s. Pretty bad devastation. This is the southeasterly part of Coffey Park. Still pretty hot today, about 92 degrees. And this looks like some kind of war zone from Hiroshima or something. It's pretty bad. So I'm going to take a drive by my friend's old house down here at San Miguel. This right here used to be a castle. Somebody made that out of brick and mortar. Nothing left.
Gas lines at Hopper Lane Apartments, 1163 Hopper, and there's some gas.
An old Ford there. Still members of the media in the area. Again, this looks like something out of Hiroshima or something, Nagasaki. I can't say that entirely because I wasn't there and I wasn't part of that history, but this looks pretty bad. This is Santiago Drive. My wife and I frequently take a drive through here when we have to take a shortcut to work. And a little over a week ago, these were all standing homes that we drove by. In fact, right here on the corner, the Barnes Road, this house was a two-story house that belonged to a friend of mine that was a police officer. Just completely decimated.
I'm sorry, you were a bit muffled. Confirm that you're going to go down and grab PG&E. I've got fire interrupt.
He no longer lives here. This is kind of the central portion of Coffey Park. Some of the same footage that you've seen on local news stations here in the Bay Area. You really wouldn't recognize it versus a week and a half ago. You wouldn't have thought there were this many trees in the neighborhood. This is very much like the Valley Fire we experienced 2 years ago up in Lake County where we live. Cars just melted on the street.
I've sent you meeting information 1017.
So I'm going to see if I can swing by Kmart. This, of course, is National Guard. A little bit more lax down here versus Fountain Grove up in the hills. This is what's left of the actual Coffey Park, the central portion of the subdivision. Grass is still green for the most part.
623.
A lot of out of city and out of county police officers and sheriffs here giving support.
I've got a couple big PG&E trucks over here at Conningtown. Do you want me to see if they can get a hold of somebody to get PG&E out there?
Today PG&E is pretty busy reestablishing gas connections and electrical lines. This neighborhood is a very northerly portion of Coffey Park. This is where my son's cub master, Steve Good, lived. He would host quite a few parties at his house for the Cub Scouts. It's too bad. So these people down here, there's a few townhomes back in there that were burned. A friend of my uncle's used to live back in there. These commercial buildings, amazingly, for the most part, were spared. With the exception of a couple of fast food restaurants. Not too much National Guard down here versus up in Fountain Grove where the expensive homes are at. They were armed up there. Down here they're not armed. Looks like Taco Bell is still standing, burnt around the landscaping. That was the Arby's, that's gone. That was the Chevron gas station, Quickie Mart, and an Applebee's right behind it. Those are both gone. Some of the Best Western over here looks like it survived except for a car. And lo and behold, believe it or not, corporate Starbucks here managed to survive, although they're closed. Here's the ironic thing. This is a new building being built at the Hunter Steakhouse location. All brand new wood. Treated, pressured, and everything. Did not burn a stick of wood on that building. The building surrounding it burnt though. Motel in the back there behind the chain link fence and the Mountain Mike's Pizza here. Place where I used to work. And this is the backside of what was Kmart. That's been here for about 48, 50 years. My dad used to go to that shop right there all the time to have his car serviced back in the 70s. Garden Center. My wife and I bought many plants there. And the front of the building. Still standing, but nothing inside.
There's definitely something coming out of the gas lines in a large quantity, but I'm not smelling anything, so PG&E might just be flushing the lines or so.
Came here many times as a kid. It was one of my favorite stores. It still was up until about a week and a half ago. Wow, it even twisted and contorted the I-beams up there. That's not easy to do. That must have been quite a bit of heat to do that. The steel girder I-beams are just molten, twisted. Looks like these businesses over here along the west side of the shopping center were spared.
16 to 36.
And again, looks like most of the commercial buildings in the back have been spared. The helicopters are still here for the news media. That's not a sheriff or Santa Rosa PD or CHP, that's an actual media chopper. Some more buildings got spared. Thankfully the blood bank though got spared. bought a mattress from that store at one time. It's now a fitness center. Another furniture store district in the commercial district.
Roving units return to the station for OD. All west side roving units return to the station for OD. Proceed unit.
So all of these commercial buildings adjacent, just easterly of Coffey Park by about 2 blocks, all managed to stay intact. From what I can recall, seeing old plans of Coffey Park architectural sets for the houses, they were built back in the 60s, early 70s. Given that we had 5 years of drought here, it's not surprising that a lot of the wood was probably devoid of moisture, and they went up pretty quickly. Harbor Freight standing there, as well as the Rancho Mendoza supermarket. B&C Automotive. Gone there to have work done for our Honda and Toyota, as well as the additional automotive shop there in the back that replaned the head for my 51 GMC. They took it apart and magnafluxed it and replaned it. Ended up getting a different engine a couple of years down the road later anyway. ProSource over there, supplies in place. West Coast Automotive stayed in place. They used to sell tires there. Very good shop. Piner Cafe, a local favorite for folks here. Most of the businesses here on Piner Road to the east stayed in place, with the exception of a couple that we'll see up at the light here. Cottingtown Mobile Estates there on the left, not so lucky. They burnt down. Of course, kitty corner to that, on the corner of Range and Piner, you've got what was the Schmidt and Tutoni firearms store.
There is a 6MGF fire come all the way to the far north side of the complex.
And that's pretty much it.